Hey fellas, check this thing out. It's a doodle bug. Oh look, there's a spider over there on the blind. Oh, will you keep focused? Sorry fellas. It's a little 97cc duty bug, right? It's a duty bugs up there. What are you gonna do with it, Arch? Well, Mikey wants to put a bigger motor on it, obviously, because it's 97cc, so I'm sure we could get at least, hopefully another 100cc somewhere around the shop, right? So I got a bunch of motors. There's no springs, but it does have rear disc, and I think he mostly wants it for like hanging around the track and buzzing around. So I don't want to get too carried away with it. I'll tell you what, I got it up there on the table, why don't we just kind of take a quick look at it right here, and I'm not even gonna try and start this little crappy motor, right? First of all, for some reason the throttle cable is either jammed, or actually it feels like when I go to fool around with the throttle on the engine, it's jammed. I don't know. It pulls over. Who cares? Just throw this thing out. It looks like the carburetor is like the same thing we see on a lot of these Chinese cats engines. It's like a cross between a Briggs and a Nicky clone. That fuel tank, though, might prove useful. Right? It's a nice size. It's perfect for something like this. We might need it. So I'm going to loosen up the chain tensioner. We're going to pull the throttle cable off. Ignition just pulls right out, and then we need to go and see if what motors I have. So we'll get the motor off, and then I'll bring it back for that. And we're going to, there's a few I have laying around. I think I have about 14 inches of height. So if there's no gas tank on it, we can move a gas tank somewhere else or something. I got a bunch of ideas. That little tank might even go good right on top, right in front of the seat. It's got a nice little sissy bar. Look at just a modest little backrest type sissy bar. That's perfect. We're good to go there. Let's see what we can come up with. I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh my God! Oh God! Oh, it's blocking out the sun. What? Mama! What? Mama! Wants to go see Cretiver? He wants to go see his girl. He can't say her name right. Okay. You want to go in? Yeah? Alright, let's go. Alright, here's the motor and the clutch, which is some dinky size. That's all the junk that was in here. The gas tank's up there. It's just got junk in it, but it could be used. We'll clean it out. This is a 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh, older Tecumseh electronic ignition snowblower. Perfect for us, I think. This is what we used to use, something similar at least. This is a little bit bigger than maybe what we used to use. I just have it clamped on there. I took the first two pulleys off, so this is like a 3/4 size shaft, which is good. It's what we want. So it's just kind of clamped on. You can see there's still some room on the chain, but we're all the way at the end. So I'll have to get a chain brake tool. So I think what I'm going to do now, and you can see it's pretty much well lined up. So I'm just going to make sure it's square, scribe some marks in here, make a template for it. I thought I had one laying around, but I'll make a template, and then we'll slice and dice and get the motor mounted. This is just to sort of simulate this pulley. Remember when I was a kid, one time I was so excited I didn't have the clutch. I just had one of like a regular V pulley, and I was like, oh, well, run it. I got around the block a whole bunch of times for the day, had some fun, and just wasted the pulley and damaged the chain, which I didn't care. I think we're doing good. Let me get to the next step. But I don't know if we can mount this up here because we don't know if we can turn the wheel all the way. So I think, when I go to bring it down, I'll verify. I have another motor, so I have the extra parts somewhere, and I think there's a muffler there, but we'll associate whatever we have to this, and then whatever we don't need, we'll stay with the other motor. I'll show you the motor in a minute. Well, just for fun, right? I mean, disregard this, but it just won't even go. Because no matter what you do, the exhaust, the carburetors are kind of in the way. Even if you took the tank off, I don't think it could ever fit. Like, I really just kind of shoved it in there. And height-wise, it almost, but this is sticking out too far. You'd have to modify this. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna fit. You know, that's only 100 and a little more than 190 cc's, something like that. You know, it's just a newer variant of the Briggs, you know, overhead valve. Right, so this is the rusty one. But you know what I want to do is just kind of check them both and it's got the 120 volt starter on it. I'd like to see what they do in terms of compression, but this one's just a little rusty. I pulled this off of something. It's just extra meat. All right, so I made my template, and this is bolted into this slot here, so we have some room. But I don't want to do any more on this until we get the clutch, because the way the clutches go on these shafts, and this one's got the threads already in here. So I think what we'll do is we'll pull this off now, and then let's take a look at this. Let's see what I have for it. We'll look at that other motor, maybe pull the carburetor off of that one, fire this one up on the bench today, just make sure she runs. I do remember this one running, I'm pretty sure, but let's just see if we can get it to run and go through a few things. So we'll wait on this till we have the clutch. I see some nice clutches with some new chain, which would be nice, maybe. Certainly nice to have some extra chain, might as well get it. So like I said, we'll wait on that. Not sure what I want to do here. When I go to take it down, I'll figure out if that's the thing. And then look, you got this nonsense here. So at some point we might want to make brackets or something. I mean, it's not terrible, but we'll see. There's an extra starter on here. I wonder if it's any good. We could do a compression test though, since we have the starter on there. Let's first pull off a plug, squirt some liquids in it, pull it over a little bit. Maybe we can at least see, because it might have had water in it. I think I did a compression test on this or something. I remember fooling around with it. I don't think we were able to get it started. Carburetor's probably jacked. All right, my guess is the starter motor's going to squeak because the Bendix isn't going to come out. Oh, we got something. And there's a lot of crap coming out for sure. All right. So she's spraying all over. So we'll check for spark too. Let me get more of this stuff in, which is just going to be good for it. Okay. Now, that's my tranny sauce mix. And let's do a compressiones test. So that's good news. I got a starter. These starters are nice. You know, makes a difference. If I have an old machine, I've sold a few older machines. All right, let's see. Can you see it? Yeah, you can kind of see it. Let's see what it does. All right, fellas, we got almost 100 PSI. That's not bad. We'll have to check the other one. Wow, it's like puking all over the place. And I just cleaned. All right, let me start breaking it down. So I want to see spark real quick. I mean, I don't usually care about spark, but this thing would run if it had a decent carburetor on it, be my guess. I'm just going to tell you. Yep, we got spark. And the on-off switch, too, is working, but she's loaded with gack. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to start taking stuff off. I'll bring you back in a bit when we get a little further. Right? Kind of boring to just watch a parts dismissal. As I suspected, this tank is cracked here. So it goes all the way from here to down there. But we could think about something like that. And we'd have to drill holes. And then you might be able to pass the bolts from the inside, maybe? Or, I don't know. You could weld, but Problem with that is that any gas tank, right, you got to clean it really good, because I've seen this. So you go to weld a tank, and even though you cleaned it out, it'll blow up. It'll blow up and bulge, and, you know, it just happens. I have a friend of mine who launched it in the air with a Chevelle tank. We told him, don't do it, right? You have to boil them in, you boil them in sodium hydroxide, which is lye, which is super clean. Another thing we could probably do is, let me see, I'm going to take this off. What if we turn it around the other way? We might be able to make it a mounting bracket. I took the starter motor off too, so it's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lube it, right? See all of that in there? So we'll start off with a little bit of this, my tranny flavor, and spin it, move it around, and then we'll put some oil in it and run it. And I figure we'll put it on the other engine, we'll test the other engine and get it running. And we could do compression tests and start it up with this. And so I'll clean that out, blow that out in a bit, give it a wipe down. It's nasty. I'll give that a good cleaning. All right, let's see what we have. All right, this thing's a mess. It's really filthy. It's nice to be able to do this, like it's a good project to go through my stuff and see what we have, and then whatever I wind up with. Oh boy. Yeah, this block is going to be beat. All right, it moved a little bit. Okay. Pour some lube in here. This is why I say, let's go in. And back. Yeah. Remember, the friction's going to be up, so I'll go back and forth. And this is how you got to do it. All right? That's how I did it on my little points motors. All right, I'm going to go in a little bit. You try to get lube in there. See, it's coming until it starts to free up. See? Now it's getting tight again. Let's go back. Even if it's just a little. That's it. Here it comes. It's coming out. Thing is if the friction, it's going to make it hot, and believe me, that will screw it up. It's getting tight again. Some little lube on there. Bring it in, and then come back around. And I'm going to do all of them like that. We got to take the cover off too, because there's mice home stuff in there. I'll let you know. I'll bring you back in a bit, but I'll let you know. I had to go switch to half-inch drive. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's gonna snap. All right, go in a little. I'm trying. The brakes in the block, it's done. You don't mess around with head bolts. You'll never get it right. Well, hold on. Back in again. If it starts to get hot, because that's a tremendous amount of friction, it'll swell. And that's not swell. And then you'll really run the risk of snapping or destroying something. Oh my God, it's jammed. Just try to loosen up the junk. All right. All right, so we got almost everything off, and it's pretty naggy, right? But it's not terrible. It's just filthy. Some junk in there. Let me see. I want to get the carburetor off. And then we'll open up the carburetor, because we need the carburetor. I think we need this one. It may not be all that bad. You know, I just love it when you see these fuel lines that there's no clamp on it or anything. All right, let me see what else we turn up. Oh, it's naggy. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to clean all this off. I'll clean that up, but we do have a nice HIPAA carburetor that we can work with. So, yeah, we should be able to get this thing fired up. I love using a Pitman on puller to pull a lot of this stuff whenever it fits. Because you got these ears on it that you can put bolts in and clamp it. You can jet clamp it. So let's see. It's on there. Yeah, she's on there. Give it some more lubricant. We could heat it, but there's a seal there, so we want to avoid that. And we're good to go, okay? We'll go do that, and then this will be for later, and that way I don't lose anything, because I'm getting a bunch of bolts in my bolt tray. All right, sorry for the noise. I'm literally standing right by the air conditioner. It is so humid and pukey. Look, this came out nice. I don't know where the one is for the engine that we're working on, but that's what the parts motor is for. So I like to take this is on a nice flat piece of steel, and you just go around. This is like maybe 180. This is probably like 240. That's like 80. And this side needed a bit more, and the gasket was stuck. They usually either get distorted or they've got these weird raised edges. Anyway, it's all cleaned up. Let me go make some gaskets. All right, so we got this all cleaned up. Like I said, I made a nice gasket. I'm going to use some lubriplate, just white grease on all the gaskets. The gasket on the block for this side is fine. Got a carburetor, right? Because it makes it easier to remove, and it does improve the seal. And this piece here, you want to save these. That usually goes on the carburetor. That's for your snowblower use. And then this, I cleaned all of this up. It's nice now. Nicey nice, right? And only oil, no grease or anything, just oil up in here. Get it lubed up good. It's going to splash a little bit. You don't put grease on anything, just on these gears only. Get it in that bearing, and that's it, because this is for winter, really. So if you put any kind of grease, it'll be too thick and the Bendix won't work right, but you need to lubricate it from time to time. So if you have one of these on your snowblower and you got an old snowblower, pull it off every now and then and lube it up. Oh, it's getting noisy in here, fellas. I know. All right. Tomorrow we're going to run it. We got ourselves a motor, at least a roughed out version of it. So let's just do a compression test and let's see what we get. That's interesting. Well, believe it or not, fellas, this is 50 pounds. Yeah. Okay, let's check for spark. So we actually got more compression out of the other motor. Well, you never can tell, right? Might want to bring that out tomorrow. Give it a good clean. I did put a little of my special sauce in here. I remember this motor ran a little weird. Let's check for spark. I'm just going to yell it out. So I think tomorrow, it's getting too late and it's raining out. Otherwise I'd do it. Let's just check. Yep, we got spark. So at least we know what we have. That's 50 pounds less. That's a lot. So I think tomorrow, like I said, I mean, as clean as this one is, we'll run the other one. We got the pulleys off. We'll have to pull the pulleys off the other one, pull a few more things off, get it cleaned up, right? We got to put bolts back in it, get them cleaned up. We got to suck that other head down and get it tight. Probably pull this off too. We'll see, right? And we'll get it tight and we'll run each one. And I remember this one. I mean, there's a reason for why I pulled some stuff off of it, even though it's clean, and you can tell it is pretty clean. Get a little dark in here, because I don't remember, right? Many years ago, there was a reason. I had cleaned it up. I had run it on something. I think it had a different muffler on it. But we have a good carburetor. We have a good starter motor we can play with, because this way we don't have to pull start it. I'm pretty happy. We might as well run this one to test it because it's all together, and then we'll get some footage of that, and then we'll see. So we have a duel, right, between two motors. Torn between two motors. Oh, shut up! Oh my God! All right, fellas, I got this plugged up. Let's get some super clean on it. and some foamy, and I think I'm going to pressure wash it too. You know, sometimes, fellas, if the diamond is in the rough. All right, and then once I get this soaking, we'll go outside and we'll test the other engine. All right, the regular super clean, and then the foamy. And just let that sit while we're doing other things. I'm also going to treat it with acid a little bit later. And I might even hit it with a wire wheel. We'll see, you know, because it's naked now. But before we put it together, we'll get this thing a little cleaner and throw the pressure washer in there. Just my electric one real quick. And that'll scour it. I like that thing. Probably you could just use the hose too, but the pressure washer is just a little bit more power. And the electric one is perfect for motors because you just don't need, for doing little motor things like this, you don't need. Just gotta be careful of the springy thing. All right, I got a fuel charge loaded into the hose. Let's just top it off. I don't see any leaks, which is good. Yeah, that's full. That's loaded in. So let's tickle it. It may not have any real throttle because I don't think it's connected right. Yeah, she's not throttling up. Right, something not right in here. All right, let's bring this in. Something's not right with this linkage. And we're not going to be concerned with it right now. We'll bring that up. Yeah, she's not too happy. You know, could be. Just trying to pump it out. You know, what we want to do is just get it hot, right? All right, let's try turning it in. Nope. Turn it out a little bit. Yeah, she should run, fellas. There's fuel in there. There's plenty of fuel. I think this one's shot. I think it ran out of fuel. It should idle, and it's not. Let me check the idle set. I just want to get it hot. Put more fuel in it. Yeah, I think it used all that fuel, which isn't a lot. See, I used up almost all of this. It's very little in there. So this I kind of set while we were revving it. And I don't think it's going to really idle. If there's a way I can... See, this is stuck. Right, that's not set right, obviously. All right, let me see. I'm going to be right back. All right, I don't think this is set right. So we're going to loosen this up and make it more parallel. All right? All right, have the RPM down a little lower. Not, I'm running. There we go. Yeah, she still won't want to do it. All right, we'll talk in a minute, but let's let it cool down and we'll do a quick compression test and then we'll pull it apart and see what's going on with it. She's not running good, right? She's not running right. She's not making power. She's farting. That's not really a lean miss. That could be reversion from valve leakage coming back through the carburetor while we're not getting a good signal to the carburetor, not good suction because it's starting to blow back. And could also be the rings are tired. So we'll talk about that more later. Let it cool down. We'll do a compression test and we clean off the other motor.
My king, this woke shit was just delivered.
Excellent. My people will love it.
All right, she's cool. That plug is not bad. Hopefully you can see that because I can't monitor this camera. But it's like a chocolatey. So that's not the issue. It's probably valve and piston or rings related. So let's spin it and just see. And I'll yell it out in case you can't see it. Yeah, see now she's up at closer to 100, right? But it's still not running right. But that's better than it was, because I noticed towards the end of me running it, it got better, but not 100%. I think we need to go in there and look at these motors, and we'll take the heads off and we'll compare the two of them and see what's going on. So we'll take this one apart in a little bit, but I want to finish cleaning up. I want to show you what I want to do to the other one before we run it. So as we can see, this casting's in pretty good shape, right? Now that we got a lot of the junk off of it, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit it with the wire wheel in a few spots, clean off here a little. And I took the coil off so that we can clean the flywheel real good and get this magnet cleaned up. And then these stanchions here are standoffs, the mounting areas, and get the coil cleaned good. This way we'll have good ground. See, look, those grounds are disappearing. This way it shuts off, it runs properly. We'll get a proper, nice tight 10,000ths gap. And I'll, like I said, wire wheel off some of the fuzz that we can get to. And just clean a little bit more. Nothing special. Then we'll hit it one more time with super clean. And then I'll put my acid on it and then give it a wash. There's still goop in here. Yeah, see, stuck underneath. And that way it'll cool well. And it'll just make it a little bit nicer. And then we'll outfit it and run it. Okay, and then we'll see. So once this is done, we can go back to taking apart the other engine and we can see what's going on with that. Well, that looks much better, right? That's just a bit of wire wheeling and a little Scotch-Brite. Nothing, really nothing fancy. It looks so much better after it was clean and degreased. We'll hit it one more time with some degreaser. And because this oxidation is nasty. And then, like I said, we'll clean these posts here, the coils inside, and then I'll acid treat. And this is just quick. I just want to hit the tops of this with my Scotch-Brite pad, and then we're good to go. Let's try it with this camera, but there's your problem. Okay? It's all the way around. This was a sitter. Probably sat, got a bit locked up. I freed it, but it couldn't make the power. And yeah, when it warmed up, it got better. I'll use the other camera too. And these probably need just a good, to be reseated. Pop the valve keepers out, spin everything up, lap it in. But this would probably be fine if you wanted to take a hone to it. It might clean up, but you're going to need new rings. But you see the rest of it, it's a parts motor at this point, which is fine. Notice there's a lot of oil up here. That's not from me. So it was pulling oil up too and starting to burn it slowly. And she goes all the way. So this is one that was sitting probably fine if it hadn't sat, and it must have got some water in it, and it would have been fine. This would have been a beautiful motor. But it may not even clean up. I mean, I can't catch anything with my fingernail, but yeah, you won't get that. It's down just about enough to maybe take a hone to it, but I see some striations as well. So there's vertical striping, so it grabbed either the rust or whatever, or it may have even just slightly seized. Well, it rust seized. I know I was in here. It looks like I was, because it looked like I cleaned up here. See, these are clean or cleaner. But we got ahead, and this gasket's mint. So no issues here. So I probably put a gasket in it. And this could be cleaned up a little bit. We can actually do a little, backyard milling. Let's start the other one up and see what it does. All right, fellas, let's just time out here. Just refocus on the video and our efforts a little bit here. So the intent is sort of old school engine meets new school mini bike, right? So this is a newer duty bug, and it's in pretty good shape. And like I mentioned, it's got the rear disc brakes. We got these old Tecumseh motors, and the idea again is to kind of take the old school engine, very similar to what I would have used back in the day. Let me show you a couple of shots of some real older motors that I would have had laying around back in the day. Decided not to use those, and we'll see these motors again. And these motors, by the way, also appear in other videos. And I have also a video on going over the points on one of these engines. So, most people throw a Predator on or whatever, and yeah, I could take that big motor, that 190cc newer Briggs, and I could get it on there. All right, but that's not really the idea with this bike. Let's find a cool old school Tecumseh motor. I wish I had a Clinton motor. I had a really fast Stanton mini bike that kicked butt. And this guy, Kid Valentine, right? He had a Black Beauty with a big Briggs on it and honker, and it was really nice. And it had like a little bit more of a sweeping front end. And he beat everybody until I came along. So let's recapture the love and the fun, right? Anyway, that's the idea of this. So we now have two motors. And so you can see one of them is kind of damaged here. Water must have sat in it. The piston was up a little bit. And yeah, you could take it apart and rehone it and go over it. You would also need to take the valves out, check the valve clearances to the lifters, but also check the valve guides to make sure that those valves are not moving too much, because it was smoking a bit. But you would need to replace the rings, and you might be able to get away with throwing a hone down there. But I don't know if that would really do anything. It's not terrible, but like I said, you'd probably want to go over it. So that's a candidate for something else, possibly. It's also a really good candidate as a parts motor. And then, of course, we have the Diamond in the Rough. All right. So that's the one that we're going to focus on next. And so in the next video, we're going to go through that and do some testing on that and get that kind of situated. And I think also I found one more, right? So there's going to be a separate video on the one more, right? The odd one out, the wild card. So I'm not going to show too much about that here or anything, but there's a wild card in the wings, fellas, right? So let's kind of stop here, and because it's already about 30 minutes, and that's enough. And I think this is a fun project. Plus, I get to see what it is I have laying around. Because at some point, the years of accumulating stuff, and that's what I've been doing this past month in August now. I'm in August, is going through stuff, right? You got a lot, you wind up with a lot of stuff, put it together, make a machine out of it, make a lawnmower out of it, whatever, get rid of it, and because it will accumulate over time, and then you just get overwhelmed, and of course, where do you put it, right? I would keep everything, but then the problem is, well, where would you put it? Geez, if I had kept all the stuff that I'd had over the years that I got rid of, motors and cars. One time I had an entire Galaxy, all the parts of the Galaxy in this little crawl space basement with engines and doors. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm really enjoying this project, and hopefully you guys will too. These things are just fun, right? I'll see you guys later.